In this week's video, I'm going to cover how my recovery is going since my canal accident, and the second part is going to be some lessons learned based on my experience. Let's begin. 3 weeks ago today, I had an accident where I fell in the canal and injured myself quite badly with a propeller and a rudder. It's been an interesting 3 weeks. My recovery is going well. The first week I spent in the hospital, and one of the worst aspects of being in the hospital was when they came to change my dressings on those wounds. My wounds were really raw and it was really difficult, very painful. I've had my dressings changed since I've been home. So the last time I had it changed was on Tuesday of this week, and I didn't need any extra painkillers. So that was good. And the nurses are all very pleased with the way my wounds are healing. There are certain things that the hospital taught me to do before I came home. One of them is the stairs, and in the last 2 videos I've posted pictures of me managing the stairs with a crutch, and that's what I'm doing at home. So I come down the stairs from the bedroom to the living room once a day, and I go up once a day. I haven't tried doing it more than that. It seems a bit too daunting. I also haven't stepped out of the house since I've been back because the steps in and out are quite high, and I haven't yet got that confidence. So the next time I see the nurses, I will talk to them about it and see if they can give me a hand to find out how I can best manage leaving the house. The other thing that's a bit daunting to me is getting in and out of the car. I don't think I can manage that yet. But again, I will talk to the nurses and see what they suggest. My son has been really good on keeping me on the straight and narrow. I have these flights of fancies about saying, oh yeah, I can go and sit in a car while somebody drives me to here or to there. And he says, no, not until you've been given the go-ahead to do it by the nurses or the doctors or the physios. So I have to wait very patiently for all of that to happen, but I will be patient. It's going to be worth it if I can make a full recovery from this injury, and then I can get back out onto the boat. I started off by having to lift my leg onto surfaces when I go into bed or when I wanted to raise my leg on the buffet in the front room, and then I had to lift my leg off to be able to stand and use the walking frame that I've got here. But it's healing really well, and I'm able now to use my own muscles to do that job. I'm pleased about that. I'm gaining more independence too, which means that if I want to carry anything from the kitchen into the living room, for instance my cereal in the morning, I can now have it sitting in the front room, and I can use my rollator to actually transport my cereal. There are certain things I still can't move, like cups of tea. I wouldn't think about moving a drink like that. But certainly a bowl of cereal I can manage, which is great. I spend my days sitting in the front room and looking out at my garden. I've got a lovely view of my shed and the pathway, and I also look out for the birds, and I love listening to the birds' song. They can be really loud at times though when I'm trying to do other things, but generally speaking it's a joy to sit here, and it's such a lovely bright room that it's not a problem. And I think all of that is going to heal me, not only my leg but how my mood is. I'm a positive person generally, and it just lifts my spirits to be able to see the garden. So that's enough about my recovery. If you want to know any more, if you have any questions, please feel free to comment. I do read and answer all the comments that you make, and I love hearing from you. And it's been lovely to hear from people who have said that they've been following my vlogs over the last few months, and you know, I put these videos out and I don't know if anybody's watching particularly or how long they're watching for and how interested they are. So if you leave a comment and let me know, it'll give me an idea of whether I'm going in the right direction with these vlogs, whether I'm putting out content that you actually want to see. When I found myself in the water and I thought I was going to drown, my first thought was to bring my head up to the surface and take a breath of air. I don't like water very much. I don't mind being on it, and I don't mind swimming the short distances I can swim, but being underwater is not my thing. So once I saw where I had to grab and I grabbed, I knew I wasn't going to drown. What did I learn from that? Well, I learned that maybe the most obvious thing to grab for is not the safest thing, especially if the engine is still running. So in a canal, when you fall in, generally speaking, they're not too deep. And if I had found my balance and bearing, maybe I could have just stood up. But when you're floundering around, your legs are going up and they're floating to the surface. So when I grabbed onto the button, that's when my legs went underneath the boat and got tangled up with the propeller. But there are various times when if you fall in the canal, you can stand up because the water's no more than about thigh deep or waist deep, even chest deep. But so long as you can find your bearings and stand up, you will be out of harm's way. So that's the first thing I learned, is to try and stand up and not necessarily to hang on to a boat for dear life. The first thing I would say to anyone still on the boat is, firstly, put it into neutral. Don't try and manoeuvre the boat, just put it into neutral. Once it is in neutral, you can then reach over the side and pull up anyone or anything that has fallen into the canal. Second thing, get the person out of the water. Or your pet, if it's your pet that's fallen in. Most animals will swim, but please, if an animal falls in the water, if your pet falls in the water, or a child even, put the engine into neutral and get them out of the water as soon as possible. There are a couple of things that can happen. One is the hypothermia, which I was suffering from when I got pulled out of the canal because I was in there for so long. And two, the propeller is such a danger. My heart's beating so fast just thinking of all the scenarios that could happen with a child or a pet. So just put that engine into neutral, stop the boat and get them out of the water first thing. Another danger about falling into a canal, which I'm not sure if you are aware of, is something called Weil's disease. It was brought to my attention by a comment that was left on my video, and I had to ask the question, what is Weil's disease? Apparently it is a disease that enters your body through membranes such as your eyes or your mouth or your nose, or in my case even through open wounds. It's transmitted by infected rats and other creatures, and you can get it simply by being in the canal. That's how bad it is. I can't remember offhand what the symptoms are, but I'm sure if you Google Weil's disease you will come up with a whole host of information about it. But I had no clue. So, you know, if you fall in the canal and you've got a cut, or you do injure your leg or yourself in any way, please get yourself checked out at a doctor, because that is something that is a real danger. In my case, I was put immediately onto an intravenous antibiotic when I went into the hospital. I was there for 7 days and I had the intravenous antibiotic pumped into me. And then I had a further 5 days of antibiotics given me for when I came home. So I think I'm probably safe from Weil's disease. Do have a second thought about other diseases that you might catch, even if you don't suffer any injuries. Be aware of it, is all I'm saying. I think I'm going to be scarred for life after this. And I said to Peter that when we go tango dancing, what are people going to think about my leg looking so scarred? And he said, well, you know what they say, if you can't hide it, make a feature of it. So I don't know what I'm going to have to do to make a feature of my leg when I'm dancing, but it will make an interesting talking point. I hope you found this video useful. I've really enjoyed interacting with all the people that have commented on my video, Canal Accident, I Could Have Died. And I've taken a lot of comfort from all those comments and also heeded their advice for future reference. So I hope that you would go back and watch that video maybe and read the comments because they are very interesting. Thank you to all my subscribers, especially my new ones that have joined within the last couple of weeks. And thank you for watching. So until next week and next week's video,